Live tonight from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 2 of the 2021 SimSeats Real Sim Racing Cup Series. We're happy to have you with us on RaceSpot TV. We're alongside Jonathan Burke. My name is Evan Pasoko, and with our producer, Hugo Louise, happy to have you with us for the SimSeats 200. Jonathan, finally, we are out of Daytona, but not out yet of Florida as we head to Homestead, Miami for the second race of this 30-race campaign.
Yeah, not out of Florida, but this is going to be a completely different style of racing than we've been seeing at Daytona. Finally, we get to a regular oval. Finally, we get to a 1.5 mile track. However, this is going to be a little different than in previous years. With the updated aero package, the wall riding, we're going to see a lot of people on that high side tonight.
Homestead has been such a good track for so long. We take a look at a RaceSpot track map. It is a 1.5 mile intermediate track, but you'll notice it's actually an oval. It doesn't have that tri-oval front stretch or the quad oval, the likes of Texas and, Charlotte, all the other ones, basically. It makes it so unique, and so is that 18 to 20 degrees of progressive banking. It had been the host to so many championships over the years in the NASCAR Cup Series, and therefore here in the SimSeats Real Sim Racing Cup Series, not as of last year, not this year, as it was moved over to Phoenix, but happy that it stays on the schedule. 1 week removed from a season opener where Jeremy Miller won the Daytona 250, locked himself into the playoffs, Jonathan, and here's a look ahead. Big races at these similar intermediate tracks, right? Las Vegas next. Got to go a little bit till we see our next one, that Kansas. Then you get the likes of Charlotte and many more Atlanta over the course of the year. So this could be a good indication of who's going to be strong on most of those intermediates this season.
That's a good indication of who's going to be strong come playoff time, because we head to Las Vegas again in the second round of the playoffs. We head to Phoenix as the championship race. Richmond is in the beginning round. Talladega is in that middle round. A lot of these tracks are going to be key later on. And the thing that worries me a little bit, the second place finisher that got beat out last week, Andrew Freenage, is very good at these racetracks. And I pointed that out to him. He's got a higher than 50% win rate out of here, Vegas, Phoenix, and Richmond. So we're going to have to watch out for that 88 car tonight.
And by the way, he was not happy about how that photo finish went down. Him and Jeremy Miller beating and banging across the start-finish line. Freenage said, I wouldn't have raced him that way, so he'll take note of that. But Jeremy Miller walks away as you take a look at your point standings with the most points. And, of course, that race win locks him into the playoffs, assuming that he can compete in the minimum amount of events required, plus stay inside of the top 20 in the overall points. Should not be an issue. Should see Jeremy Miller in the postseason. Another big storyline in that opener was the lack of Matt Danson. Of course, he's the one that broke Freenage's championship streak, Jonathan, in the IRAPS Winter Series. Freenage had won the last two, looked to go 3 in a row like he did in this Cup Series last year, winning a third straight title. Danson came in as a rookie, shut him down. Danson missed the Daytona opener, but is on track here today.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how he races, and I'm almost concerned for the rest of the field. We have an angry Winter Series champion and an angry defending champion that are going to be really win hungry this afternoon as we see that 27 of Jeremy Miller on the track. He's locked into the playoffs now, so it's kind of like a no risk anymore feeling for the rest of the season. He doesn't have to really worry about anything until we head back to Daytona, and here's the defending champion of Freenage. Beautiful paint scheme. It's going to be a matter of how can everyone else really get into the playoffs, and how can everyone else kind of set up their campaign. There's a lot of opportunities to win this season still.
Yeah, the next critical race for Miller would be September the 6th, which is the playoff round of 16 opener from Darlington. He can help himself by winning more races in the regular season. For each regular season race win you get, that's going to be 3 bonus points to open the round of the playoffs, and that's early into the outside wall for Kyle Trudell, who was third best on the qualifying charts, so maybe wanted to improve just a little bit. We thought post-race that maybe there would have been some knockout qualifying. It looks like it will not be necessary, as I believe 41 drivers are going to be taking to the green this afternoon.
Yeah, so not quite a full field, but still a little bit scary here for a place like Homestead. There is, multi-grooves, I think, with this aero package and setup that we have tonight. That middle and high line seem to be the two preferred lines, but a little bit of lap traffic is still going to be an issue, especially if they're in that main line, that middle line, and that high line. There's not going to be a lot of places to go.
And it's what makes it so exciting, right, is the fact that these drivers are going to be all over each other, especially so with this package that the Cup Series cars are on. It is also a race, though, that maybe not historically has happened in this RealSimRacing SimSeeds Cup Series, but just historically as a racetrack, is a race that can kind of break out into some green flag runs. That's where you could see, I think, a bit of a strategy element come into play, and I think those are the situations that maybe open the door for another surprise winner. You've seen NASCAR have a handful of different surprises. Of course, first-time winners back-to-back for the Cup Series, and, William Byron, of course, now, getting a win as well. So, there's been a lot of excitement, in the NASCAR Cup Series to start the year. So why not, right? Keep things fresh. And those wins for those kind of outside drivers are huge because it could limit spots for the big guns there, like Danson.
Yeah, and it also depends on how many wins like certain drivers pack up over the course of a season. Last year, Eberhardt and Freenach, they had 8 and 6 apiece. That's almost half the whole season. So the opportunities as the season goes on are going to become more and more limited.
Well, that is the end of the qualifying session, so all those drivers who attempted to qualify will be in to the feature race. And now these drivers with a last-second opportunity to roll out for the warm-up, get a little bit more lap time, and you can see, taking a look trackside at some of the drivers. There's the number 23 machine on track. We talk about some of the teams as well. Their affiliations were pretty big in the Daytona opener, and one of the Mara brothers, Matt Mara, won't be able to rely on his brother quite as much here in this race, but I think anytime you got friends on track, it is a good idea. I know a lot of drivers, the Extreme Performance Motorsports group as well. Obviously the ultimate goal is to win the championship belt, right? To be the champion here. But a lot of people putting a lot of faith in the team points as well, as some bragging rights as we take a look at Dylan Coyle rolling off on track now for a warm-up. Dylan, you're not quite out of Florida yet, but a different view. I think we're all ready to move on from Daytona. We have, what are you looking forward to here for round 2?
Yeah, looking forward to just running my race. It's that's what it has to come down to. You can thank Jonathan for that quote I just said. But Homestead is weird, right? Like, there's a lot of grip that you have to find throughout a run. There's going to be a bunch of different grooves. I feel like if you want to conserve tires, you're going to go in between the wall and the mid groove, maybe there. There's just so many variables that come, and I was not happy with my qualifying run. I couldn't control the car out of turn 4 twice, so really it's just about going easy for the first couple of laps, seeing what you have in the tank, and going through there.
Let's go down trackside and take a look at your SimSeat starting grid. In pole position for this one goes to the number 2 of Sam Nieto. So he'll bring us to the green flag alongside your defending Winter Series champion, Matt Danson. Big names on row 2 from that Daytona photo finish. It was the Daytona opener, Jeremy Miller, who starts in 3rd alongside the defending Cup Series champion, Andrew Freenach, P4. Kyle Trudell, Liam Sheen get a roll from 5 and 6.
Brendan Wee in the number 34 taking that P7 position, and M. de Blasio in P8. Ross Cato in P9. David Washington rounding out the top 10. Chris Rabel and Sean Castro 11 and 12.
Okay, we're going to start 13th alongside Amarius Leszczynski, Aaron Winemaster, Dane Cruz, Shane Parrish, and Stove Price, the top 18.
Michael Lariah, last year's winner in the 44, starting 19th, and the number 4 shares that good with him in P20. Anthony Fredericks, Thomas George for Steelos Racing in P number 21. Bradley Burke, the number 95 in P22. Trevor Trego, a dual winner in P23, and Nick Barr in P24.
And we'll let the rest of the starting grid roll through. Big names back there in traffic. The likes of Grant Davis and Rhett McBride. Those are drivers that I would watch for. Nick Silver as well. Dylan Coyle not happy with his qualifying effort. He's 36 all the way to the back with William Schmidt rolling up 41st position. Well, we're happy to have you with us at RaceSpot TV. The pace cars down and into the hands of Sam Nieto as we say, let's go racing from Homestead. challenge for the race lead by Danson. It did not work. Nieto leads lap 1, and Farinaj already makes a move to second.
Yeah, now we're going to start to see what line is going to be stronger. And now it looks like to be that outside line. Farinaj got a good start. He's going to have a hefty dose of draft onto Nieto. And right now, this mid-pack's trying to sort things out a little bit. They're still 2 and 3 wide as the top 5 and 7 kind of thinning out and going single file for a little bit.
You know, surprise, that's not where they're all going to agree. That was David Washington. Get it around Ross Cato at a battle for 8th to 9th position, and some 3 wide even further back in the field as one car is going to drop to the bottom. Looks like wants to get out of the chaos. Trevor Trigo, 37 car, mid-pack, 17th at the moment, under fire, and Shane Parrish comes to the outside to go on board with the No Bull Racing entry.
Yeah, no one really getting close to that wall yet. I suspect later on in this race they might get a little bit closer. And here's just an onboard look of the 3 monitors. Man, I wish I can be that lucky. As you can see even ahead, you can still see the leaders. They're side by side going in the corner, but he's getting passed left and right. It's just a matter of just keeping it clean at this moment.
He's got the look from behind him on the left. The bottom right, I think, is almost a visor cam with him. And then you can also see a head-on shot of him in the bottom left. I know Shane's been working real hard to get that sim rig set up, and appreciated that he has us with that onboard camera. Change for the race lead. Andrew Farinaj now to the top of the board. Nieto does not want to give this up, but early at Homestead, it is a 3-horse race as Farinaj, Nieto, and Danson try to pull a little bit of ways from Kyle Trudell in P4.
Yeah, but I expect that 2 car to still be strong, Sam Nieto. The Flat Out Motorsports gang was very strong here last year. They finished 1-2 with Joseph Tyson, Michael Loraya, and Sam has been one of those quick guys in that team. So I really do expect this 2 car to be a factor and be with the 88 and the 05 all night.
You can see the battle for 4th and 5th was going on a little bit, and then even further back, David Washington, who was making some moves earlier on in this race, now fighting. I believe that's Liam Sheen underneath him into 77. Sheen going to tuck off in line and give that spot to Washington. So quite a charge early in this race, Jonathan. The 98 Ford's on the move.
Yeah, with a bright new paint scheme to boot.
And good looking.
We mentioned David Washington a little bit in the Winter Series and a little bit at Daytona too. He needs just a few good races to really get himself up there in that top group of drivers. He's been in that mid-pack. He's been around the top 10. You know, he was in the conversation for the win at Las Vegas for our Winter Series finale. This could be a good season for him. Rockstar Energy Drink on that car. And this, so far good, but he might burn those tires up. And that's going to be a concern, I think, if this race stays green. How much are you going to burn those tires up?
Yeah, that's the question, right? One change rule-wise that is going to affect how these cars drive is the time of day that these races take place. And basically, when you're setting up an iRacing race, you can do anything with it, right? Any day, any track temps, any weather, and all that. Historically, we have selected the time that correlates with the NASCAR Cup Series date, but it has always fallen on the default iRacing date, which is kind of like a midsummer date. That means that temps would be pretty warm in Homestead. Not that it's cool by any means. It's been plenty hot where I am in Orlando all week, right? So it's still hot in Florida. But this year, we have been setting up the date in the sim to correlate with that of the NASCAR Cup Series schedule date. So maybe a little bit cooler this year at Homestead than what we saw in the 2020 schedule here for the SimSeats RealSimRacing Cup Series. There are going to be some races over the year, Jonathan, where that difference is big. Not sure if tonight's one of them. Florida's hot no matter what time of the year it is, but that is something to keep in mind. If you're a driver and you know kind of all those nuances of weather and how that affects the sim, that's something to keep in mind as we go on board with Bobby Krug. Bit of a shot to the back of Dylan Coyle there for 34th and 35th.
Yeah, they got the whole pack in front of them. Both of them, I think, just kind of running the race, trying to feel it out. But the other thing is, you mentioned the time of day. We've run this race in the RealSimRacing series since 2012, and this is only the second time it's been during the day. Last year it was pretty much an outlier. We saw 7 cautions, the most out of any race here at Homestead. So some of these drivers are going to have not so good memories of last year and maybe wanting to improve, as Bobby Krug, I feel like, has a run to get around Dylan Coyle, but seems to content to just kind of push our buddy along and hope for the best.
Maybe he's just trying to lend a helping hand. I know that I wasn't a fan of any pushes last week in the IROC series, but I think that goes to show you, kind of no matter where you are on track, drivers are going to be aggressive for it as you look off of the back of that Phantom Sim Racing number 79, and you can see the cars trailed off at the back end there. Behind him, you've got Krug, then Tom Morano, then Michael Mosier, and then I think the gap's going to be a little bit larger back to the likes of Casto Weaver, as now looking to the bottom is that 51 of Krug. So trying to make it happen. 34th and 35th position. This battle about 9 seconds off of the race leaders already. Not going to work on the bottom that time, though, for the 51, and I'm sure he will reset and try it again.
It's going to be another key, especially as we go throughout this race, is going to be passing. The problem is this kind of preferred lane seems to be the middle lane, so you're really down to very little options in order to pass. You can try and go low, however the car might not want to stick down there, or you can try and go high up against that wall and get a huge run. You can see the 30 car going way high, maybe trying to get that huge run I was talking about, but there's not many places to get a good solid move down. You're going to be side by side for quite some time on this track.
Homestead's a place, so we're going up and against the outside wall. Has worked historically. I know in the sim, iRacing has been working real hard to put a bubble there on the fence, but that was a little bit too high for the XPM entry of Kaczynski. He had been up one spot on the night, tagged the fence. Nick Silver was able to get around him. Not going to be the only one, because there it goes, the 79 of Coyle down to the bottom. So at 30 got a little bit of the wall. I don't really see any damage on it, so I think it could be worse. Maybe a little bit on the right front there, but that is the concern, is if you're going to, quote, run the Kyle Larson line, don't Kyle Larson it and put it into the fence, right? You need to be able to kind of walk that limit. And, in today's iRacing, Jonathan, Homestead fits in pretty good because it's one of the tracks where really you can work those multiple lines.
Yeah, and especially with the update to running against that wall and getting that aero bubble and getting that more speed, it's a nice, welcome sight to see Homestead, and it produces really good racing. I love racing Homestead on the sim. It's actually one of my best tracks on the service, and it's really fun because you can stay side by side for a long time. There's lots of places to go. There's lots of room on the track as well, which means we might not see big accidents. We're going to see some maybe aggressive blocking, as we saw in the real life cup race a few days ago, as this race goes on. But right now everyone's just kind of finding their groove, picking their line, just riding out these first few laps, trying to gain as much positions as they can.
Bit of a nifty move there off of turn 2. I think that was Kayla slicing it back underneath Grant Davis here, who rides in 31st position at the moment with the Circle B die-cast onboard camera, and Kalis will make that pass through on the inside. That'll be a swap out for positions 30 and 31. Davis not done, though. He'll cycle back down to the bottom, going to make it, at least try to make it work, but I think Kalis is in a good spot here as long as he can get that run off of the corner. Look how good the bottom is through. The top needs the run off, but Kalis gets a bit of one. He'll keep him honest, but I think Grant Davis going to get this thing back down in 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's the real upside of that high line. You get all of that speed coming off the corners, and it really carries down the straightaway, especially if you can get a draft. Right now, Kalis's issue is he doesn't have a car really close to him up front to draft. You can see the 3-car Nick Silver going right now underneath, and that's another car I'm really surprised, honestly, to see this far back in the race. He had a couple good results here in years prior.
So that spot will go to the 3. This was, again, back for 30th and 31st. And just as we said, that looked like, maybe it was going to be moved back down to the bottom by Kalis or by Davis. So 29, 30, and 31. Hold some of the positions up for grabs, and you can see up the road a good bit of single file ahead of them, so everybody, able to spread out just a little bit. And a key for a race, if it wants to go green, is for those mid-pack cars to figure things out. If the mid-pack cars are still 2-3 wide and kind of over-driving each other, that's where you're going to run into issues. There's look at the 12 of Ross Cato fighting with Dane Cruz. It's a battle for 10th and 11th spot. Cruz will lose out in that battle for the moment, drop his boosted Ford back a spot, and give it to the Fast Forward Esports entry of Cato, who's up to position number 10.
Yeah, I've been watching that board for the past few laps, and I've noticed 2 names kind of sticking out that are starting to move up, and it's Lashinsky and Cato. And Cato has been kind of that mid-tier driver as well, looking to make a big leap, and right now putting together a solid race so far. We still have 110 laps to go, so anything can happen.
A long way to go, right? Plenty can still shake out in this race with more than 100 laps to go on the board. We took a quick peek at this battle just a minute ago. That's Jared Weinmaster in the 44 of Michael Raya. So his Sim Speed Shop entry, trying to hold off the 48 of Jared up top. Looks like the battle will be won by Lariah. Tried it for a couple of laps, was finally able to break through, move the number 44 car up to 15th position. So, even with that knockout qualifying, all 41 drivers were able to make the show. Looks like everybody doing a pretty good job, at least if they didn't qualify where they wanted to, to get through traffic.
Yeah, that 44 is going to be a factor as the night goes on. I think he won this race last year. I think he knows how to conserve the tires and ride the wall, and he's climbing up through the order, and now we're starting to see a little more side-by-side ahead of him. As you can see, Kamer going underneath the 29 of Rabel, trying to defend that position off. Good run so far for Kamer. Good run for Chris Rabel, the rookie, joining us this year. He's put on a couple of good shows already. Brandon Bowie in Washington, you can already see the time it took it going back and forth there, side-by-side, not too far ahead of this.
And just watching that 8-car slide way up off of the corner, right, trying to hold it down there if you're Kyle Kamer. There's a look at David Washington all the way up to position number 7. That is Bowie up the road in the number 34 machine, who would be next on deck. Confused for a moment, Washington with Danson, because, well, those cars are going to have that similar blue and orange paint scheme, but that is the Husqvarna Ford of David Washington, longtime series veteran, and as well, if I'm Brandon Bowie, who's been around the sim world quite a bit, Jonathan, in his own right, in no way a rookie or anything for keeping it real, David Washington is somebody that I would not recommend holding up if he's better than. You got to be brave, because David Washington will put a bumper to you. He doesn't care where we are on track, what track we're at. So that could be a fun battle, but looks like Bowie fast enough for the moment to stay ahead.
And, Bowie took a year off from the RealSimRacing Cup Series last year, and he's no stranger, obviously, to Homestead. He's gotten a win here in 2 top 5s, a win in 2017, 2 top 5s right afterwards. So this 34 car still is going to be a factor, and the 98, I think, might have to know that. So that's going to be a fight that's going to go on throughout this run, as the 95 getting all sorts of sideways, and here comes Kamer to take advantage of it.
And there's another late slice. Kamer across Burke. That'll be a pass at a caution back in traffic. But the 87 of Joe Yakes involved in this one towards the rear of the field. Dylan, you kind of caught a glimpse of it. We'll take a look at the replay here in a second.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off there. I was sort of yelling to myself that we've got trouble.
You saw it first.
Yes. On the front stretch, it just seemed like some drivers caught the inside wall at the thin Homestead, Miami. And you know what? Things broke loose.
Yeah, we just saw Yakes get into the wall, Jonathan, but he wasn't the only one. I wonder if he overdrove the corner and then the cars following him did the same just because they were following him through.
Synchronized spinning by Dominic Howe and Joe Yakes. It was almost simultaneously. They both hit the wall and they both spin. And the worst part is they have to collide into each other. But who was that just went spinning through there with an incredible save? It's an only blue car. I didn't get the number, but that was fantastic.
A couple of dicey moves to survive that one, and towards the back of the pack. So fortunately, there wasn't a ton of traffic that had to get by, but at least in the case of Howe there, anytime a car goes down and comes back up in the field, that's where you hold your breath. Let's ride. It was William Schmidt.
That's iRacing top 10 worthy.
So not only did he have to dart to the inside to avoid the wreck, then he, kind of skated it across the track, held on to it a great job to avoid that incident. Pit stops underway, though. A lot of drivers going to go for early for service, and it'll really shake out the running order.
Yeah, Sean Cayley staying out. I think Dylan either took only fuel, only tire, or only right sides, or missed his pit stall. And I'm betting on the side of only fuel.
You should bet on the side of me missing my pit stall.
Oh. I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, buddy.
Yeah, I was looking for... I couldn't find, so that's okay. I'll just go back to the end of the line. I was there anyway.
A high standard for, expecting a good Q result that you weren't expecting the pits to be down there. So I, kind of twist it, make it sound good. you're used to looking for a better pit stall. So not the only one who doesn't get service. Sean Kalis has decided to stay out. You can see Dylan's going to dive back down to the pit road that time through, and that'll lead to all the cars who took the 4 tires of service to cycle back through. So Nieto actually going to end up atop Danson and Farinaj to kind of be the net race leaders in all of this. They all took 4 tires. I saw that maybe Trevor Trigo only took 2, although he's going to bring his car back down pit road. So maybe that was unintentional. Mosier, Yates, and Howe also all back down to the pit lane this time through. So it is going to be pretty universal, except for Dane Cruz, I believe. 2 tires and a restart in about 7th spot. Other than that, everybody else burning 4 very early in a race, Jonathan. I mentioned that they only have 3 additional sets of tires on pit road for a reason, because, well, you burn 4 now, you're going more than 100+ laps with only 2 sets left.
I am curious, though, what the wear is, and I think that 37 got a speeding penalty. I think he was trying to race Dane Cruz out of pit road and got a little excited, but I am curious what the wear is on these cars. I didn't think it was this high, especially for a track like Homestead. Much newer surface, not as abrasive as we think about Atlanta. Down the road, that's a much more abrasive racetrack. Dylan, can you tell us the wear that you had?
Say that again, I'm sorry?
The tire wear.
Yeah, I'll tell you the tire wear right now. 93% on the front left outer, 92% middle. On the right side, we were getting the low 80s.
I was going to say a bit more than I expected. I was expecting a little bit higher, like 85 or so. I guess it is. I guess the sun beating down on the track, it does kind of burn that rubber up really fast.
Yeah, it was definitely a good bit of wear at the end. Adam de Blasio came out pretty late, and he saw he had a lot faster times at the point of 20 laps in. So tire wear is a huge factor here.
And Kalis, by the way, is staying out. It's not a stay out to get a bonus point strategy. So let's see what happens to the driver of the number 43 machine. From the front row, he'll be the control car and will restart this race. He'll have the opportunity when the pace car comes down pit road, restart the race anytime between that and when the green flag actually comes out. So Sam Nieto, first car, fresh tires, could be disadvantaged by this, because it could lend to a better restart, of course, for Matt Danson behind the control car. We'll see, though, if the 43 slow, they might get a little bit wide into turn number 1. Pace car going to dive down and in. We'll put lap number 28 of 134 behind us and take the green.
Got a bit tight there for a second. That 43 is dropping like a rock.
I think to be expected, right? I think maybe I would have just gone to take my bonus point and then bring it down in, because, you know, I think that maybe if you even expected, you know, hey, if I'm a 20-something place car or whatever, if I drop back there, that's not a concern. My issue would be for him is, if a green flag run, is I going to go 3 wide to split them both on the inside and the outside? If I'm Kalis, I'm worried about Jonathan a long green flag run and losing a lap here because I'm off pace.
Yeah, but it could be a nice alternate strategy for him. He's got that extra tires, saved up. As you can see, he's just getting carved up left and right. Oh, poor Sean Kalis, as Michael Mosier had to save it right in front of him for good measure. That 43 is having an eventful last 2 laps.
Keeping him busy as Mosier makes the move on him back for what was 34th, and in no more than, 2 laps, Kalis going to drop all the way to the rear of the field, and Sam Nieto was able to use the outside to maintain the race lead. Farinaj, though, was able to get around Danson for second, so has Trudell. So I thought this all could have played out in favor of Matt Danson. Thought that maybe, getting stuck behind the actual control car could have benefited him. Instead, he drops back 2 and now finds himself in 4th.
I think he might have taken note of that wear, because again, I was a little shocked to hear that much wear coming out. I think the 05 maybe trying to play that cautious game, maybe trying to save little tires, because it's already fallen back into the clutches of Jeremy Miller in the 27. They see that 88 getting loose and giving Sam Nieto a little bit more of a buffer down the straightaway. So I think that 05 is planning maybe for a longer green flag run this time.
We can see it's the top two this time, right? Trying to get a little bit of distance. Last time it was the 3 trying to break away, but a little bit of a difference between Nieto and Frinash 1-2, and Trudell and Dancy to everybody else. Let's take a look at a replay with Sean Casto into the fence off of turn 4. They'll go 4 wide for a moment's notice to split the difference. The 52 car hangs on, no caution.
Wonder what happened to the 46 as well. Dane Cruz was all the way up towards the front. Well, although I guess you didn't mention he did take 2 tires, so I guess even 2 tires, his caution flag is out.
The second yellow very quickly off of the last. We'll slow things down. Lap number 33, and we just saw Michael Mosier struggling with those loose conditions off of the corner. Was it again Mosier in 4? I don't know if he checked up for the car, up the road. I saw a bit of a check up there for the 46, was it? And then Mosier down goes here into 1 and 2. I mean, the car just looks like it's a little bit unstable. That's Morano on the bottom. They're going to go side by side and then down the back straightaway.
Yeah, does he get help from de Blasio behind? Oh, might need to get a different angle on that one. A heavy hit on the inside wall.
I thought the issue was going to come either on the come it off of the corner, go it into the corner, but to see from there, and it looks like maybe he just caught the fence and then came down slightly, and unfortunately Morano and somebody else was there, and not only did he get them, but he also pounded the fence.
Yeah, so they're going down the straightaway. Morano moves up a little bit. De Blasio comes in behind.
I wonder if it just spooked him, right? And he moved up a little bit, and then when the car gets into the wall, sometimes it's hard to get it off the fence, and maybe try to pull it off the wall is what made it, kind of dart to the left like that.
Yeah, just poor reaction and bad timing. If you get off the throttle or get back in it, something like that. If you steer the wheel slightly and you're caught off guard, I can see this is probably a better angle right here. He's really, really close to that wall. Did he touch it? Yeah, oh, right there. You can see the sparks on the speedway sign. And then there it goes.
Well,
the Morano got a piece of it, and I think, was that the 21 maybe who got a little bit more? Maybe the 51 of somebody else back there, but tough break for Mosier, and second incident within 10 laps. Does Kalis use this as an opportunity to get tires? Yes, he does. So Kalis, Casto, Mosier, and Yakes all down pit road, and now Kalis going to have, instead of 27-lap older tires than everybody else, he'll have maybe 6-7-lap fresher ones than everybody else. So I don't know if that's going to be enough to blitz through the field like he fell back through the field, but at least Kalis is off strategy now.
Yeah, and it might be a good thing almost, because now he took tires at around 35, 36, got 100 to go. He can split the last 100 if he can, another 33, 33, 33. And he might be able to make a charge back through the field. I understand we haven't been green for too long, but if we're seeing wear like we are, could make a difference. Now on this restart, without that 43 car there, who's going to get the advantage, that outside or the inside?
And we'll see as well, Nieto could decide, to start on the outside as well. Wouldn't be shocked if it's on the bottom. I think that's likely the decision, but he could always mix it up and say, hey, I want to take the top this time through.
Yeah, and also making sure, checking who's behind you, because you have Trudell and Danson, both of whom that I think both of us can agree on are going to be contenders as this season goes on. Who do you pick to be your friend, I guess, on this restart? Not as crucial right now as it will be in about 100 laps time, maybe, if we have a late race restart.
Yeah, long way to go, and everybody burning, some tires. So it'll be interesting as well if you have more cautions upcoming than you have, or I guess I should say, yeah, if you have more cautions and tire sets available, not going to be able to always come down pit road, right? The number 3 is there on purpose to make drivers consider things, right? If you gave drivers NASCAR Cup Series amounts of tires when you're running half of the race distance, then it's really a non-factor, right? So I think 3 has kind of been the long-standing decision for this SimSeeds Cup Series because it does force these drivers to be a little bit smart about it, play some strategy. You cannot come down every time there's a yellow to get tires. You have to decide when it's important and when it is not.
Also going to consider how many cautions we're going to have. We already have 2, and again, last year we had 7. So Yellow might not be done yet. Maybe it's done. Hopefully it's done. I'd actually like it for Dewey to be done, but it might not be done.
We'll see. Get a little bit rowdy here recently from Homestead. We'll see how the rest of this one plays out. So most of the race cars down on pit road the first time through. Going to be a couple of cars with fresh tires, but it's not until you get to Dane Cruz and company. They are outside of the top 30. Last time, Nieto, Ferdinand broke away just a little bit. Trudell Danson, Washington up to top 5. Jeremy Miller, P6. A lot of big names fighting at the front of the field. 37 laps down. We're green. Just so much wheel input, regardless of, where you are on track. If it's Sheen, if it's somebody else, and there's that 34 of Bowie to the outside, he'll make the pass on Miller for 5th.
That 43's got ahead of steam because he's going to go right underneath the man from the land down under and maybe try and get 4th place here quickly. I don't know. It's going to be kind of close coming out of the corner. Not able to clear him, and it's going to hold both of them up for a second. But that was a quick pass on that 27. 34 car has some juice in it.
And just mentioning, of course, Danson from Australia, making it quite interesting for us to figure out how to get that IRAP's Winter Series Championship trophy to him. Not normally a logistics issue that it is if anybody else, were to win in any of these series. But on board with Danson on the outside of that side-by-side fight, I should say. Bowie really trying to squeeze and make the bottom work. He got a little bit loose that time off of 4. And I think Danson's just going to be too strong to get here on that outside.
Yeah, he got the 27 on the outside. I don't know if he's going to get the 05 on the inside. It's going to be interesting to see, especially as this run goes on, how high up that 05 goes, and I think he's going to be able to clear him right here. But remember, I also promised an Ethernet cable across the Pacific Ocean to Matt at some point, so I think that and the trophy may be a little hard to get to at the moment.
Yeah, we'll talk with our logistics people. We'll see what the options are. Is on board with Bowie now, and you can see he's 5th. First car up the road is Danson, and it's Trudell, Ferdinand, and Nieto still maintaining his race lead. Bowie up 2 spots, though, from the start of this race. Running right now in the number 5 spot. So, a good bit of movement early on in this one, but I think all these drivers, Jonathan, would be in favor of, getting some green flag laps in underneath us and not kind of having the stop and start. You can see the field strung out, yes, but kind of outside the top 20s or so, very busy.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys back there trying to make moves and get up through the field as McBride is all sorts of sideways. Wow, I cannot believe he saved that. But these are some guys that are trying to make moves, trying to get back in the pack. They may not be where they want. Aaron Weinmaster probably doesn't want to be down outside the top 20. William Schmidt, after that incredible save earlier, is on the edge of the top 20. And the Mars probably don't want to be outside the top 20. There's a lot of guys down here that really, really don't want to be down here.
You can see that 32 machine working on the outside lane here. That's Nick Barr trying to build up some momentum. He'll get passed up by Grant Davis, and Davis will slide up in front, I think, for the moment. Now on board with Matt Mara there in the number 23 machine. Got a bit of a different perspective as he rides in 27th spot, so looking up towards the group with his brother and others. You got Bobby Krug in there, who we've talked about just a little bit. That's the first car up the road, that Ford up on the outside. Also looking at the likes of Dane Cruz, Anthony Fredericks, maybe somebody who we haven't talked a ton about. That's his number 4 car, just a couple of cars up down on the inside.
Yeah, he's going to stay put, unfortunately, right now. He's started in that 10th row, 22nd, no, the 11th row, 22nd, alongside Michael Laraya, and Laraya has gone all the way up to be right outside the top 10, and this 4 car seems to be stuck where it is. But doing a good job of staying out of trouble, though, being in this big group. It can be very chaotic being in the midfield in a RealSimRacing series, whether it's the Winners Series, the IRX Series, or the Cup Series, you're always 2 wide at some point. 3 wide even.
3 wide, yeah. It's the way on the outside. There's Fredericks in the middle. The 46 car on the bottom is Cruz, and up top, that's Matthew Barr. A 3-way battle, 25th, 26th, and 27th. And there's the onboard look again with Matt as they'll figure that out somewhat. You can see him rocking the VR goggles down there on the bottom, and a good opportunity as any. You see that nice RSR shirt he's got on. You can go to RealSimRacing.club for more information, and you can get yourself some RSR merch as well. And you can see he's working the motion rig, and I believe, Jonathan, that was he in a wreck with the IROC race last week, and you could see the motion rig kind of just shaking him all over the place. I mean, there are pros and cons to that extra added level of realism.
You mean the wreck, one at the very end that almost everyone was in?
Yeah,
including you. I think you were in
had
that.
a pretty good view of that one, so yeah.
Yeah, so there are pros and cons. I think, and this has been a discussion as well that I've had across like different series, because I've also covered the Ivor endurance, the road racing stuff, and how realistic you want to be. And some drivers like being ultra realistic on the ovals. I like getting in there and having that realistic feel on the ovals, and some guys like being minimalist. You can see that the Mars, that VR, the motion rig, they like being in the seat, in the thickest things. As we mentioned, in the thick of things, Dane Cruz looks like trying to chart his way back forward. He was on a fall and hopefully trying to get back up into the top 10.
Yeah, so, you get that added level of realism, but I don't think any of that stuff's going to make you faster, right? That's more so for the experience. So I've done the VR. I don't have it, but I did it at SEMA before it, was released as kind of a beta thing. Super cool, right? The motion rig, super cool, but most of the drivers at the pro levels don't want any of that, right? They'll go for maybe the triple monitors, but they don't want the motion. They don't want, a lot of force feedback because their focus is being fast. I think I kind of fall somewhere in the middle. I'm not fast, so I'm not worried that much about it. So I'll have a little bit of force feedback and all that to give me that sense, but it's certainly, so many different directions you can go between, kind of catering your setup to performance and catering it to getting the best experience out of it, trying to replicate the real race car.
Yeah, it's also about like your feel and kind of like the driving style and how you really want to feel the car as it works through the corners. I do like a lot of force feedback, and I like having that ability to kind of feel the car as it goes on, so I kind of know like what's going on with the car and what's going on around me. And some drivers just want to focus on the race, driving in a straight line. Like, speaking of focus, there's Crew as focused as ever. It really just depends. It's all preference. I think oval is where you see a lot of like the different style setups: single monitor, triple monitor, VR. You see so many different things. I think on the road side, it's kind of almost like, okay, VR is the best thing, triple monitor is the second. But it's really nice here to see all the different setups, all the different styles of wheels, all the different just styles of going about things, and seeing that we can still all be competitive. There's so many different setups in this field, and everyone's still within 10 seconds of each other. The top 32 are 10 seconds of each other.
Yeah, not bad at all, right? I mean, and that goes to, with a couple of things. One, the fixed setup, so you're not going to have drivers who can, put in 40 hours over the course of the week and fine-tune the setup to blow everybody else out of the water. But also, I mean, you can give somebody a fixed setup, but if they don't know what to do with it, if they don't have, the ability mainly to save tires, that's how you win and that's how you lose races on iRacing. And therefore, in this SimSeats RealSimRacing Cup Series, if you don't have that ability, not going to happen. So everybody doing a real good job of keeping things tight now, more than 50 laps in.
Yeah, and just the adaptability week in and week out. A lot of these setups are the iRacing regular fixed setups, so it should be pretty adaptable. Remember, we also have dynamic weather, changeable conditions. A lot of fixed races are not run under that. So you got to adapt to how the car feels and how it reacts. And only the best of the best can come out, as we see this mid-pack again is getting rather feisty and angry as this run is going on.
Yeah, they, not going to let up, but I think maybe it gets a little bit annoying. You get some of that red mist when you're mid-pack, and, you're just fighting the whole time, as that's Kalis making a move to the outside, trying to get around. You're on board of a Shane Parrish, working kind of both lanes right now, right there in 30th position. So these cars about 9 seconds and change off of the race leaders. And it looks like Kalis doing everything he can to find a way around Matthew Barr. That's the kind of light blue number 23 Toyota up on the outside. Mara's got the preferred position. That's why it's Kalis who has to kind of go high and low, try to find a way by.
I think we're also going to learn something here. 10 laps on tires, not going to be that big of a difference. K-List had 10-lap fresher tires when he came down to pit road last time by, and he hasn't been able to really pick up much ground. So 5 to 10 laps not going to make much of a difference. So I think once we hit that 20-lap threshold, then tires are going to be a big difference. You see that 43 car. Now losing tires, it looks like the 89 is going to go back underneath him.
We're just going to call it the mobile command center on board there with the side-by-side battle now is up on the outside of this group is the challenge by Kalis, but Shane Parrish down on the bottom. Looks pretty calm, I'd say, all things considered. It's a good-looking rig. You can see he's got the little bit of an added tack on top of the middle monitor, so you can keep an eye on that. Maybe gives him the opportunity to clear up some of the space on his actual dash in the sim. He can also adjust his field of view so that it doesn't need to be so zoomed out to see all those dials. Again, it is really a world of possibilities when you can adjust things however you want them, and that battle will end with Kalis maintaining. So for all of those moves, and there's a 5 of Rhett McBride just up the road. Surprised that Rhett's back in 27th spot. Normally a driver more so accustomed to the top half of the field, top 10s many a times. He can't really get through traffic at the moment, but for all those moves and looks, nobody made a pass. Is this going to be one? Kalis to the inside on Mara, and he will get people. 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think as these tires wear out, as this run goes on and on, you're going to see a little bit more passing, a little bit more action, and we're going to have to talk about green flag pit stops here soon. If we're not careful, you can see the 5 car getting loose on the bottom lane. I think McBride's struggling a little bit with tire wear, and that 4 car also struggling with tire wear. We had a few cars get close to that outside wall and have to almost abandon the racing line to go save it on the inside.
And it's William Schmidt, who's a little bit out of control in that 49 right now. So up top goes Jaron Winemaster. To the bottom's going to go Nick Mara. And the 49 works his way up top on board with the Grant Davis. He decides to put his flat-out Motorsports Chevy on the bottom. So William Schmidt trying to get a handle on that car. He's got it now, but that thing was looking awfully dicey there for a little bit, and now he's actually going to go back on the offensive and not just try to hold off Davis. He was peeking there on the 32 machine, trying to get a spot back from Nick Mara. He's going all the way up to the wall, only about a half a car length off of the fence. Very different line than what that 32 is doing at 1 and 2.
Yeah, and you can see that car get a little bit upset. I'm not sure if those tires want to be up there, if how much wear he's taken out of that car, if they want to be on that high line. Although, kudos to that 49. He started at the rear of the field and has worked his way up into 21st and had an impressive save. So this 49 car does know some car control.
And on pit road, Stove Price Jr. With, I believe, what would be an unscheduled pit stop. I'm not sure if strategy-wise now's the time to be coming in because, for the drivers who pitted on the first yellow, they've only been out there for some 34 laps.
Yeah, that's a little early. I think it was about 15 laps earlier. Although I believe he did have damage at one point because he was already down a lap.
So maybe feeling like he's hurt enough at this point, maybe just come in and try to get some of it fixed up.
It's always nice to put the Band-Aid on it.
Do what you can, right? I mean, you get damage early in a race, and then you're always playing from behind. Nobody ever wants to have to be catch-up, but you kind of work with the given circumstances, and maybe not a night that Stove was looking for. Up top, that's the number 11 car of Eric de Blasio. Dane Cruz on the inside of him. This battle goes for 14th and 15th spot to Cruz, who's moving pretty good, trying to get back up to where he was earlier in this one.
Yeah, you mentioned he took 2 tires on that first stop and then instantly regretted it as he dropped like a rock. Not as fast as that 43, but definitely dropped through the field. And now I think he's kind of learned. He says, all right, I need to conserve tires and then work my way back up to the field. He's knocking on the door of the top 10. They're not too far away. Lashinsky, Miller, and Washington are all fighting right ahead of them. There's Laraya peeking to the inside as well. So top 10 or top 5 by the end of this run for that 46 is doable.
It almost looks like a duo working together there with the 95 machine, and now they're going to go against each other. It almost looked like they were drafting with Kamer behind Burke, right? Like they were kind of slicing through traffic together, and then Kamer stuck a nose out like, hey, I kind of want it for myself. He'll tuck back in line, but thought for a moment maybe those two were teaming up to try to get themselves through the track. Not going to happen for the moment. So they are fast, though, so they may be able to work their way up a little bit. The next driver would be Michael Araya, who has fallen off quite a bit in that 44.
I wouldn't say falling off. Like he's had to work his way back up through the field. He started it down in 20th, and he's just kind of been slowly picking them off one at a time. That 95 has fallen off. It started 7th, and that rear end is gone. So don't count out Michael Araya. He won here last year. He knows what it takes to win. He didn't lead the most laps. He started in the 5th position. He's starting further back this year. I think he has what it takes, especially if this run remains green. He just needs to find a way past Liam Sheen here, who's putting up a good fight.
Never going to count out Michael Araya, right? Especially in a race, as you mentioned, at Homestead, where he has found victory lane in the past. But, you know, we're not out of time. But lap 65 of 134, we are just on the cusp of being halfway through this one. If I'm going for the race win, you know, I want to be, you know, maybe close to the top 5 by this point. The stats would suggest that this thing ain't going to go green to the end. You'll have restart, so I'm not that worried about, you know, because Michael Araya is running 9th right now, he's not going to be able to make up that 6-second difference. I'm just more concerned about the fact that, you know, compared lap time-wise to the leaders, you got to be finding a little bit more, and you can still make adjustments as this thing goes on. It is always harder and therefore slower in traffic than the guy up front who's got all the clean air. And right now, that's Sam Nieto by quite a margin to 1.9 seconds clear of everybody else in the field. But this time by, we're going to be halfway home from Homestead Miami Speedway. Let's take a look at your sim seats midway race break. Nieto has been in control for much of this one. He leads right now by about almost 2 seconds, just 1.8. Back to Andrew Ferdinand in the number 2 spot. The 2 and the 88 have been the drivers to watch. The 2 has been the best after starting on pole position. So there is your defending Cup Series champion running in second. He's about 1 second ahead of Brandon Bowie in the number 34 machine, who currently rides in the number 3 spot. There's his CircleBDiecast.com Toyota Camry.
We got
behind them. I think the drivers who have speed but want a little bit more, Trudell and Danson, and will hold because there is a caution for the 49.
I'm sad now. He was doing so well. He worked his way from the rear of the field, and Dylan caught it. And there's a lot of damage on the rear and the side of that car.
Take a look, William Schmidt. We saw he had some handling issues earlier, and there it was. Just had a turn 2. It snapped on him.
Oh, and a big hit. Who was that behind him? Somebody rammed him and went to the inside. I did not see who that was.
You can feel it there. I mean, did everything he could to catch that car. I don't know if it was Kalis or not. We'll have to try to get a second look to see into the back of them there, and maybe Dominic Howe. Dominic Howe has some damage. Look at that near escape in front, and it was Howe who got into him. So not that there's any car that's, you know, you're less concerned about getting beat up, but Dominic Howe had a torn up car, so that makes his night go from pretty bad to worse.
And then he tagged someone else on the inside for good measure, but now, well, I was excited for green flag pit stops, and now, like most things I'm excited for when it comes to racing, that is sadly taken away, but we're all going to be back down pit road soon. It's going to be 4 tires and fuel, and this, you just got to make sure you nail it. Get it in right, get it out right. No speeding penalties. At 37 already had a speeding penalty. It's been a tough time for Trago to try and come back from that.
Wholesale service drivers going to burn, looks like their second of 3 sets of tires at the halfway point, so they're going to have to be careful and pretty diligent about how they use that second, or I guess that final set in the second half of this race. But your leaders down pit road expecting the call to be pretty, well, universal. 4 tires and fuel. Nieto's first in. Let's see if you can execute and be the first out. Back of the back's already got their service. Left side's up for Nieto. A peak by Farinaj. What a drag race to the line through wide. It looks like it'll be Nieto, Frenage, and Bowie maybe. So Bowie making some moves.
That was an awesome cam we got of
Bowie
that.
going to go all the way to the top, it looks like.
I'm not sure. I don't think he beat Nieto out. I mean, Nieto looked like he crossed the line.
Might have been a different line. No, they are going to give it back to Nieto. Bowie just maybe wanted to convince Race Control to give it to him by driving around, but that is what we saw. Nieto off first. It was awfully close, though, between Bowie and Ferdinand. Wouldn't be shocked at all if the 34 snagged second.
I mean, maybe it was also the momentum of the 34 coming off, because he was probably looking behind him, looking at that 88 going, I got to beat him, and just floored it.
And there is... How are those for some caution lights? I'll tell you guys what. We would never need Dylan to let us know there's a yellow again if we had all those lights strapped up at my office. I feel like that would pretty much cover things.
I'm not in on what's happening right now.
You just go back, watch the broadcast later, and you'll get it.
No, because I'm going to get an Amazon request from Dylan.
He's got about maybe a dozen, like, construction, like, equipment lights that are just all blinking and flashing yellow all over the kind of exoskeleton to the top of his sim rig.
That's awesome.
It looks like he's in a work zone right now.
Hey,
This
Jonathan,
is a spaceship. This man has a spaceship.
I've seen, a lot of drivers have one light on their desk. They get the eye flag, and this is next level. I'm in awe. maybe one of the best things I've ever seen from a driver's onboard camera.
I still don't know what you're saying, but I just need to let you know I missed my stall again.
That's painful.
I couldn't find it. It wasn't. My flag man is doing an awful job right now.
So Shane's going to keep us posted on the track conditions over the course of this race, and we'll update you on what happened on pit road. So everybody did decide to come down, and they are going to give the number 2 spot to Brandon Bowie. So he did just edge out Ferinage, the difference between second and third. So Nieto control car, once again, going to select the bottom of the racetrack. It'll be Nieto up, or Bowie up top, I should say, then Ferinage, Danson, Trudell, and everybody else. They didn't let us get all the way through the running order. Of course, it's on the left-hand side of your screen, but I'll close it out anyways. That was a look somewhat at your SimSeats Midway Race Break. Since 2009, SimSeats has been designing and fabricating high-quality, made-in-the-USA driving simulators, including motion systems, complete turnkey iRacing packages, and custom fabrication. Their base includes all racers from amateurs to the pro ranks, and everyone on the SimSeats team is a weekend racer too. Their passion for racing drives them to build better sim racing equipment. Join SimSeats for the thrill of racing anytime, any day, with any car at any track. Visit sim-seats.com to learn more information. Pace car off and in, Nieto for the 3rd time in a row in control.
Hang on to it, Lishinsky.
Got way out of shape, and that's going to be at least 4, maybe 5 spots gone, just like that. Leshinsky drops to 9th.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you had a little bit of air wash or something coming off that corner. You could see it midway through the corner. That car wanted to snap loose. Good car control from the 03. And now, this fight for the top 5 is wide open.
You just shuffled up Bowie, who maybe, I thought had an opportunity to go do something with this one after getting second off of the pit cycle, drops back to 5th. Ferinage 2nd, Danson, Trudell, they all bump up a position. but all still chasing Nieto. Nieto not getting away this time, as you see those top two up the road. Andrew Farinaj keeping him honest. And that 88 car looking for some redemption after having that race win taken away at Daytona. A beaten and banging photo finish with Jeremy Miller. He wants another one. The all-time winningest driver in series history looking on the outside.
And keep in mind, he has 4 starts at Homestead. He's got 2 wins. You know, Bowie being 1 win and Lariah being the other win. So the last 4 winners. And that 88 has half of them. So that's a concern, I think, for this 2 car. This 2 car has been so good all night long. Really maintaining his tires, too, because he hasn't fallen off the pace or anything like that. Sam Nieto has been driving a clinical race. He needs this thing to go green, though.
So many drivers who dominated RSR, you know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the Dwayne Vincents, the Chad Coles, the Dylan Joneses, who are still around, right? David Washington, even number 6, the RSR all-time wins list, but nobody has been able to do what Andrew Farinaj has done. 34 race wins in 134 starts. That is a 25% win, percentage. The only drivers who have bested that are some of the biggest names on the sim. Landon Huffman, who's gone on to start many NASCAR National Series races since his time in RSR, won 27% of his, won 13 in 37 starts. eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver Malik Ray won 3 races in 10 starts for 30%. Parker Kligerman won 1 race in his 3 RSR starts. That's a 33% win percentage. And then way back, Pedro Mojica, 7 starts, 3 wins, 42% win percentage is the highest of them all. But Jonathan, those are all drivers, you know, with 7, 3, 10, and 37 starts. Farinaj to have that consistency over 134 career starts, which is 12th the most in series history, says something else.
Just how good of a driver he is, and even like some that are surprised me that he's here, like Matt Danson, when we've interviewed him, sometimes it goes like I've never seen him. I've raced him like maybe once or twice in the sim. It's a gem. He's almost hidden within RealSimRacing.
Yeah. You know, and I look back to the Winter Series because, of course, what Danson was able to do last year, was so impressive as well with several wins. And it's been not as long of a running, but Danson got a 30% win percentage, winning 3 of the 10 starts in the Winter Series. So, that would be 3rd best all time behind only Nick Holslander, who only made limited starts 1 season. And, of course, Farinaj, 34% win percentage in his starts at the Winter Series. And a different team this year for Matt Danson with the Logitech G on board, that 05 Chevrolet. So that's the different look for him, and pretty sharp looking ride. I know Logitech makes a lot of good stuff for the sim. Basically everything back home for me is Logitech: keyboard, mouse, headset, steering wheel. So pretty good place to go if you're looking for stuff for your sim equipment.
We should have an advertising group here on RaceSpot. I feel like
right?
You and Arjuna Kankapati can write some good commercials, I think.
Our friends at Logitech as well are, a lot of folks over there, and they support as well the William Byron Esports Group on the eNASCAR side of things. A lot of love for our friends at Logitech. Real good stuff. So if try to sell some stuff, why not? And yeah, I think one of the best looking cars in the paint scheme. I'm in the paint scheme department. I'm always a fan. I think that there's a case to be made. A lot of people talking about they want paint schemes to kind of go back to where they were in the 80s and the 90s, where there wasn't as much going on, and they used brighter colors, right? It was kind of easy to identify from far away who was who. I really like that kind of modern and sleek look, and that's a sharp-looking ride for the 05 as he rides in 3rd, but it has dropped off now to about, 1.8 seconds or so off of Sam Nieto for the race lead. So even Farinaj, who was all over him off of the restart, can't hang. The 2 of Sam Nieto putting in work right now. You talk about drivers, who have had so much success, in RSR careers and whatnot. And, in the case of Sam Nieto, he's somebody who has gotten the job done. Running up front, I think being one of the more consistent drivers in the series all time, but hasn't been a driver that's always been able to commit for the full year, right? Last year only made 24 starts in this Cup Series and did not get himself into victory lane. If he can do this and be able to make, a bulk of the races, get into the playoffs, we always wonder, Jonathan, looking back to Phoenix last year, right, at our championship 4, who can get booted if someone else comes in, right? I think Nieto can be a serious championship 4 contender if he can put a full year together of commitment.
And he's shown good speed and good pace. Like, even in the Winners Series, there was a couple races where this 2 car was fast. I believe it was Iowa. He dominated the whole first half of that race. And at the end of the day, when the cautions came out and those short runs came, that 2 car just was not as strong in the shorter runs. I think that's what we're kind of seeing here on the short runs. Freenage can go toe-to-toe with this 2 machine, but once this run starts getting green and stretching out, he's able to stretch his legs and get away. Freenage is not up close to him. He certainly hasn't lost him, but it's going to take, I think, a miracle almost to really hunt down Sam Nieto today.
He's not somebody who's been in this for a ton of time, but I think everybody kind of recognizes him as a vet at this point. 25 all-time starts in the SimCity RealSimRacing Cup Series, a 2-time pole sitter, and is one of the guys that I think is well overdue for a win on a Monday night. He's looking at a good spot. Not jinxing it yet. Still just inside now of 50 laps to go in this race, but Sam Nieto is a guy who has worked so hard and really deserves an opportunity. And seeing on the right-hand side of your screen there, the number 37 machine as well. Try to make some moves in kind of the mid-pack area. Trevor Trigo, 27th right now. But both incidents, and the ones that Dylan has caught too, means they're kind of towards the back of the pack. So if those guys can figure it out, the race leaders have been clean. I'm sure they would love for this one to stay green. But Dylan, on that point, you broke it inside of the top 30 in this one. What's the progress been like? Have you learned anything over the last 86 laps or so that can maybe turn this into a good result?
I'd prefer not to be loose, because that is the one thing that is keeping me from having a better day out here. I'm not sure what the preferred line is. I keep trying to go up high, but I'm losing some time trying to stay out of the wall. AKA, I'm not the best, far from it. But I am trying to find the best way to kind of turn the wheel, where to apply the throttle. I think I said this long time before. The big issue for me has always been in throttle and brake input. If I get that, I think I'd be doing a lot better.
Well, just, I'll let you know and we can tighten the setup for you. And we'll keep you posted there. I mean, it is tough. And, this track as well, Jonathan, is one where if the car's loose, you're going to be uncomfortable. And if you're uncomfortable, then you're not going to push it, right? And if you're leaving a little bit out there every lap, just to have that comfort of not fencing the thing, that's how stuff can add up over time. Not just Dylan. We checked in with some of those drivers when we were talking about the grid, some of the bigger names towards the back of the field. A Rhett McBride in 23rd. A Grant Davis who is now falling back to 20th. I mean, those are all drivers who have been top 10 cars many times that just don't have it figured out here tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's all about preference. And I think it's another thing to bring up back to Sam Nieto. The tracks that he's been good at, we saw him really up front at Richmond in the Winter Series, at Iowa in the Winter Series, and there was another track as well, I think he was up front. Those were all tracks that had looser setups. That 2-car likes a loose car, and I don't blame him. I also love me a loose race car. I like when that back end kicks out a little bit. I like feeling like I'm in a bit more control. When it's tight and going towards that wall, you just don't feel in control. You feel like you're at the mercy of a car. As we're seeing this mid-pack, it's getting angry again. Traeger's trying to fight his way back from a penalty. Mara and Krug appear to be in a heated battle. They're trying to break inside the top 20.
Doing everything they can try to pick up spots as this race begins to wind down from Homestead. Sam Nieto up at the front of the field, trying to close this one out, looking for miraculously what would be a first win in this Cup Series, trying to hold off big names, trying to hold off Freenage, Danson, Bowie, Trudell, and others. It is a tall order. If we go green, Jonathan, with still 40 laps to go, they've been out there for about 20. I'm guessing we'll see pit stops before it's done.
I think like around lap one, because when did that caution come out? It came out like 60, 70-ish?
Yeah, it's been 22 laps since they put on the tires, so I'll reverse engineer that and say, about lap 70 or so is when they were down pit road. So maybe you split the difference at 100 and change? I mean, if not, you're looking at a very long run. There may be some logic in not taking the service because these races always tend to have late yellows, and I think a majority of the field's down to their final additional set of tires being available.
What's the farthest you can go on fuel? Because, 66 is a tall order, but...
I'm a driver. I could tell you.
What are your numbers saying?
42 laps left on fuel.
Oh, and a caution. So there you go.
Oh, problem solved. We don't even have to talk about this anymore.
3.
Oh, there's a spinner.
I see some smoke at a turn number 2 on the back straightaway, and it is the 46 car. So good for many times in this race, but that may do it as far as trying to fight for a good finish there. We'll take a second look at what happened to Dane Cruz when we get a replay, but that thing has got some pretty good back-end damage, so I'd be shocked if it was catching the fence in 2 and maybe backing it into the inside wall.
Yeah, he started up towards the front. It looked promising. He's, just this 46 boosted car, and it got loose and just overcorrects and ooh. Oh, and then help from behind. That's always not what you want to see.
That's where all that bonus damage came from, was he was in a good running position at the time. He gets into the wall. Here's the onboard look. Let's watch. I mean, it just happened so late, and I have to imagine, Dylan, that all night the cars have been getting a little bit sideways off of the corner, so you've been counter-steering, I'm sure, off of 2 many times, and unfortunately for Dane there, it just caught up so quick and hooked it into the wall. Then on board look with Thomas George up the road. There's the snap and nowhere for the 9 to go.
The only option was slamming on the brakes, but then you would have had Chris Rival all up in his back end, so that's not good. And this is a bit interesting. So we had Sam Nieto come down pit road, and Nick Silver, Dane Cruz, Lariah. So it looks like a lot of those flat-out motorsports drivers, not anyone else, which is... I'm a little surprised, if I'm honest. I kind of want an explanation.
Well, I guess the decision would be, Dylan, and I'll let you go ahead here, that maybe they feel like we're not going to go 35 laps or whatever the number is on the restart to the end of the race, and they'd rather have the fresh tires late than be on the defensive late.
Yeah, I was thinking of a few other strategies too, namely not taking right sides, taking left sides. I know that sounds weird, but at the same time, if you're still getting some fresh tires, sort of, and if you're in my spot at the back, well, the left sides are going to help incrementally. You'll still probably have to pit. I just convinced myself I'm going into the pits.
Mixing it up just a little bit. Looking at timing and scoring, looks like the top 25 Dylan's pitting, so it's going to be 24 tops. Cars did not come down pit road.
Nick Silver only took 2. He stayed in the box for 6 seconds. Same with
That is
Kaczynski
not
and
what
Price.
I would have guessed. I would not have guessed that it would have been that few. I wouldn't have been shocked if a couple stayed out, but I thought the majority decision would have definitely been to come in to make sure you got the fuel to go.
You only get 3 extra sets, and we've had 2 cautions. Oh, they're on their last set. That's why. They don't want to sacrifice new tires yet, so Sam Nieto might be in a bit of a pickle. He's on his last set of 4 tires, unless he didn't take 4 tires earlier, which I think he did.
Yeah, I'm thinking everybody who's pitted is on their last set of tires, which would be the only logic why you wouldn't take it. If this race goes, 35, whatever the number is going to be, to the end of this race green, then you're kicking yourself. If it goes, 5 laps, I'm not sure if it's enough, because you can come in to get tires, but you're going to have to get around traffic. I think ideally for these drivers, whatever the number is, we get about halfway, right? You get 10, you get 15 laps, maybe even 20, but then you're starting to, run out of laps on the back end. You want to go enough for those guys to burn up their new tires, then you want a yellow, come in to get yours, and slice through the field. So this one's going to come down to strategy and where those yellows, if any more, are still to come, fall.
I mean, the other thing for Nieto is that you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Monkey see, monkey do. Like, he's the leader of the race. If he stays out, how much do you want to bet Freenage and Danson were diving in right after him? If he went in, those 2 stayed out. Like, these guys are high enough I rating and have seen enough to know the game. We know how this is played. If that leader's a sitting duck and poor Sam is now in 26th, it's going to have a lot to make up
Poor Sam
to try and get back to the front of this one.
Tires.
What was that?
Poor Sam has 4 fresh tires.
So let's see. I can promise you this is going to be an exciting restart. All those drivers who opted to come in and get service going to be funning from 25th on up. There is Sam Nieto on board with him, and there's a lot of race cars, which are going to be significantly slower, right? I mean, based on how long they've been out there on the most recent stint, at least 25 laps. So the cars back are going to be better. Maybe they, are good enough to go up for the race win. Again, I think this is going to come down to when the yellows fall. So pace car down and in. Big names, though, stayed out. Farinaj dancing on the front row.
Massive wheel spin from the 05.
Farinaj gets clear. Bowie gets around dancing for second, so he'll fall to third. Miller Trudell side by side for 4.
Well, this is the first restart we had where everyone has had significantly older tires, so this one's been interesting. This is Sam Nieto's view, and this is a scary sight. At least he has a friend and his teammate Michael Lariah on the bottom, but that is a scary sight to see everyone 2 and 3 wide on old tires.
Lariah way down on the bottom. Is there room for Nieto to split the difference? There was, until Mara dropped down a lane. Now he'll try to find the middle. Chambliss to the outside. Lariah on the bottom, but that's Jared Winemaster up there. Can't get through, so Nieto tiptoeing his way through.
That 44 is almost like a pick right now, like a pick in basketball. He's setting up these moves, making sure like no one goes down there, and this 2 car is just using him to make sure to get the clean air. I don't know if it's a smart team tactic, but ooh, that's a little close for comfort.
That was Bobby Krug, who I think was trying to transition down to the middle line. Did it work down to Nieto back to the outside? I mean, he is working right now.
He's in 13th. He's driving like a madman.
No shock that he's got the tires to do it. Lariah Casto also on fresh tires following him through. The 2 and the 44 could be racing right now for the race win. And Nieto's finally going to clear. Now some more 3 wide to the inside on Chris Rabelenberg.
Oh, that 90, it's going to come down, and I don't think he meant to.
3 wide again. Washington in the middle. It's the 8 car of Kyle Kamer up on the outside wall. I don't know if the 2's got the preferred lane at any point here. All the way down on the inside. You just don't run there at Homestead.
I don't think he cares. The man has gone from 26th to 7th in 3 laps. I don't think he cares what he's running.
Bill leads the charge for the cars on fresh tires. Thomas George, 4th best of those that came down pit road, but he's about a dozen spots back. He has not had as much success in the traffic. Now to the inside of the number 7 to Kyle Trudell. This one is for 5th. Sam Nieto is on a tear inside of 34 to go.
You're not stopping that, man. That 2 car is driving like nobody's business right now. He's gotten to 4th in 5 laps from 26th on the grid. And he's about to just pick off a Winter Series champion, a former winner, and a 3-time defending champion in a lap.
And there it is to the inside of the 04 Danson. Position gained. Give him number 3 for Sam Nieto. So clearly, if this race goes green like we thought, then those drivers who decided to come down and get tires are going to be the smart ones. But I don't think we've gone, and if we have, it was only once, 35 laps in a row in this race without a yellow flag, which means that the stats would say a yellow on the back end would hurt Nieto, because then he would be the sitting duck. To the inside and around Brandon Bowie, all that remains is Andrew Farinaj.
And you just can't do anything to defend. Like, Bowie was there, and look at how much grip you get off the corner. It's really the run off the corner that these fresh tires are giving him. Because he can stay in the throttle, he can stay in it a bit more, doesn't have to lift, and then as soon as he gets off the corner, look how much speed he has on Farinaj. He's just going to leave him behind.
And new race leader, Sam Nieto, back to the top of the board. I don't know, I mean, so Nieto obviously goes to make the move for the race win, right? Normally when we have a split strategy, Jonathan, somebody is doing it because they weren't in a position to win, right? It's somebody who was 8th, who had speed, but just didn't have race winning speed. They're the one that normally says, all right, I'm going to go off cycle, roll the dice to win this thing. If that last yellow didn't happen, Sam Nieto's probably your race winner, right? Would have had to make it through a cycle of green flag pit stops, mistake-free, but Nieto was in the catbird seat. It's interesting to see the strongest car all night be the odd man out here late, strategy-wise.
Yeah, but we've seen that time and time again from Nieto and Lariah. We saw it in the Winter Series that they wanted to do something different on strategy. They want to be different. They don't want to do what the others do. And I think that the two came down as the best car on track, got his last set of tires, and said, all right, I'm just going to drive my way through the field. And a good drive from Castro and Lariah, too, because they've also come from really far back to pick off everyone. I think if a caution comes out now, they're okay. It's if we get the 116 range and upwards that these guys are going to be in definite trouble.
And more fighting to go because, again, Lariah, second best car on that strategy, has now got into second around Sean Casto. The other drivers, Trevor Trigo, pitted. He's up to P5, so big gains for the 37. He just passed Ferdinand now for fourth, so Trigo set to gain a lot. Thomas George, that all-black car behind Ferdinand, he's also looking to make a move around, and that's kind of it. The ragtag group of about 5 cars up here, fast cars that are on that strategy, and now they are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as George takes that 5th spot away from Ferdinand.
And even with damage, like that 9 car was just involved in that last caution and pitted from 12th for repairs and tires, and all of a sudden is back in the top 5. And I'm almost scared for the rear of the field if Nieto catches them and starts lapping them, because that's going to be worse. We haven't had to deal with lap traffic yet.
And now we wait and look mid-pack where everybody on the same strategy are, fighting and clawing for every little bit. You can see this huge pack of cars in turns 1 and 2 right now. If I'm the leaders, this is what I'm worried about, is these guys keeping it clean and keeping it on the racetrack, right? Just don't have any incidents. Figure it out amongst yourselves. But, don't get a little bit too out of control. This is just outside of your top 20. You can see the number 24, Grant Davis, right there. He scored in 22nd. Chambliss, Morris, Silver, the other Mara, Jared Winemaster, Anthony Fredericks. It's about a dozen cars within a second. Look at that move by the 3 car. Slicing to the bottom was Nick Silver.
Yeah, he was trying to find a way around. Crew got really squirrely out of turn 4 and just didn't have the momentum to get the job done. And now he might have a run here. Yeah, but this is the worry. However, again, I think if something happens in the next 5 laps, they might be okay. We've seen like 10 laps not be that much of a difference. It's once we get past like the 20 mark where really that tire wear starts kicking in.
I think another factor that's going to work against those cars in the top 5 is there's only 5 of them, right? There's not going to be like they had to do, where they did have more of an advantage, closer to 30 laps better tires. They did have a lot of traffic to get through, but the tires were that much better. Flip side, if there's a yellow, these guys who come down the pit, they're not going to have as good of tires, but they're only going to have to get past 4 cars to catch up to the leader because it is just that pack of 5. That, I think, is the biggest thing working against these leaders. If they had gotten more guys to pit with them, maybe almost closer to a 50-50 split, I think they would have been in a better spot. There's Jaron Winemaster, half of the lift down to the gas, a little bit off of turn number 4 to make sure that he does not wreck that number 48 car as Fredericks up the road, try to make some moves, and there's Dylan Coyle, the 79, with Jaron Winemaster, and that's a pass for P28.
Now, if I'm these guys that have stayed out, you definitely can't make it to the end unless you pray. I don't know what God they're praying to. When do you have to come down for green flag pit stops, if at all? Do you have to now try and stretch it to the end if this goes green?
Well, remember, we were talking, if that yellow didn't happen, that pit stops were surely going to happen, right? They have been out there now for 43 laps in the case of the lead cars. Ferdinand, everybody else on the back. Dylan, you are in that same boat. I know you did come down and in, so you're good on your numbers, so we can't rely on you. But you looked at the number before the yellow. What would you say how close these guys are? Did the yellow maybe help them enough to be able to get to the end if we don't have a yellow here? 20 laps to go.
Don't be surprised if it did get most of them to the line. It was very close, though.
So it'll be a bit of late race drama, maybe, Jonathan, and maybe some drivers able to save more fuel than others, depending on if they've been in battles, for the majority of this race, or how much did they save. I'm sure they all knew that saving was important under the yellow, so I'm sure they saved everything they could. Could get dicey here.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to push and really gain as much points and and pride as you can. Because, like, for some of these guys, now they're further down than they should be. Like, Liam Sheen was running 6th or 7th. Now all these guys in fresh tires have just blown past him, and now he's 13th. And that doesn't really show the pace of that 77. And same with, like, David Washington, you know, Chris Rabel. They were battling in the top 10, and now they're 5-6 spots outside of it. And two very similar painted cars going at it right here. This is going to be interesting to the end, to say the least.
And look at this, a little bit of a teammate battle this time of a turn 4, and the driver with the front row seat of it all there is Ross Cato in 18th. It's Shane Parrish and David Washington up the road doing battle. And for clarity, the 98 of Washington's the first car, Parrish is the other one, and Parrish could have been out. They may be teammates, but they're racing harder right now.
Again, pride, points, getting those as much as you can. For some of these guys, some of them may be thinking, like, points is the only way I can get into the playoffs. Like, we're not going to get wins off of some of these top drivers.
And that much closer to the end, inside of 20 laps to go from Homestead, Miami. The number 12 car, Cato, makes that move, and now Rhett McBride, next driver up, going to try to enter the party. He rides right now 18th at the moment. He could get 2 spots here almost in a swing of the bat, but I think it's only going to be 1. Was able to get around Washington, and I don't think he'll clear all the way through Parrish quite yet.
Oh, good work by the 5. I think good recovery drive. He's been on a up and down day, and I think some of these guys are damaged. You can see the right rear damage on that 12 machine might be affecting him a little bit. David Washington might have gotten in the wall at some point. You know, we haven't had many cautions or many big cautions, but these cars are definitely showing some wear and tear.
Especially towards the back of the field, where drivers have had, poor nights. The likes of James Ross, Gary Weevil, Michael Mosier, and Joe Yakes to the garage and out of this race. De Blasio several laps down, so is Howe and Schmidt. But all things considered, 34 cars, lead lap at Homestead. Not bad for a 200-mile race here in a Cup car. With this package and kind of how hard it is to get away from people. Not bad. Everybody's, for the most part, staying out of trouble as we pick up again Washington, now dealing with Grant Davis and Nick Silver. So Washington, wrong end of a lot of these battles late.
Yeah, how long have they been out here in these tires? Like almost 50 laps. Like these tires are as good as gone, and I think some of them that have been saving them a little bit more as the run has gone on are starting to reap the benefits of it. Nick Silver, again, he's been down further back, and oh, that's not good.
And that changes everything. Just outside of 10 laps to go, a caution. And now those lead 5 cars going to be on the back foot. My, oh my. What happened with Anthony Fredericks?
Oh, it was Fredericks. My bad.
Oh, that's a hit.
And it looked like...
Oh, that's another hit.
His own. And there was a second tag on his own. Old tires, probably the oldest tires he'd been on, Jonathan, all night to that point, and just lost it, snapped on him again. Very quickly it happened.
Yeah, and it's not the first time we've seen turn 4 come out to bite someone, too. We've seen it a couple times. It's the first caution, in fact. We saw it bite the 86 and the 87, but now... Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. I think this is the car that came in and hit him at the end, Sean Kalis. He goes nowhere to go. He slams on the brakes. He's got Kaczynski to the inside.
Yeah, the reason why Kaczynski was there, so he couldn't pull down to the last minute, because otherwise he would have taken out Kaczynski. So here we go for pit stops. All those who had one set of tires left, now's the time to use it. You can see Fredericks, he's going to be in for damage repairs. Somebody just drove it into the fence back there. A second car driving it into the pit road wall and trying to have to back it up and get it fixed. So a messy cycle on pit road. But who wins the race off? Watch Danson, watch Miller lead cars to the end of pit road. Farina is already off of the jack in front of all of them and sneaking out. A drag race, buoy, and more. This is going to be a real fun restart.
I'm wondering if Castro has been down for pit repairs and that he had tires left, because I think he just pitted for tires, and same with the 37. The 37 pit came back down for a penalty. So I think those two still had tires. So it's just 3 cars now on old tires out front.
Yeah, only Nieto, Lariah, and George remain. Sean Casto gets 4. Brandon Bowie. I mean, everybody does. Bowie to be second off of pit road. Then it's Ferdinand, then Trago, then Danson, then Miller, and Leszczynski, your top 10. So Sean Casto, could it happen?
This is going to be an interesting one because we've had... I mean, Nieto's been up front all day, but the only one close has been the 88 at Freenage, but Bowie has been kind of close here and there. Danson's been close. It's up in the air. I can't even tell you. I'm glad we don't bet on this race.
So we wait and see. I think that we're all in agreement, Jonathan. There's no way that Nieto, Lariah, and George hang on to this.
After that drive through the field that Nieto had when he was on 20-lap younger tires, no.
It's not even like they can get a little, like a restart and a quick yellow because there's just not enough of them, right? There's no buffer. So then, I mean, you got Casto ahead of Bowie. Honestly, why not, right? Have an opportunity. I'd say Andrew Ferdinand right there. Why not? But every time I've thought somebody had something to put up against Brandon Bowie, he stuck it to him. So I wonder if Bowie, is just, Bowie's had opportunities mid-pack to make these kind of moves, but he hasn't been this far to the front. I don't know if I can say who's better between Casto, between Bowie, between Ferdinand, even Trevor Trago in there as well, dancing behind Miller. I mean, I don't think there's a clear front runner of those cars that have pitted.
No, and that's what makes this difficult because I didn't take into account that I forgot Trago had a penalty and came back down, so I didn't realize he had a fresh set of tires. And the 52 has been on pits for repair, and that thing is still running because he's been down on pit road the most times out of any. He's been told is 6, but still had tires left to use. So I just don't know. The 52's been in the back of the pack. The 37's been trying to recover from a penalty. I mean, how much can the 2 and the 44 hang on? That's the first question we have to answer.
Well, we're about to find out because this restart's going to be just at 10 laps to go. And again, with every race, potential ticket to the playoffs is on the line. There is big risk here and maybe big opportunity for a Casto, a Bowie, a Trago, a Leszczynski, who are, in a very good position right next to, drivers who tend to win, a good share of the races in a year, the likes of Ferdinand and Danson, and even those who were stuck on the back foot strategy with Lariah and George. The pace cars down it in, though. Sam Nieto wastes no time. Green flag flies. We're underway, but watch those cars with tires. The inside.
Yeah, 52 tried to time it, and he mistimed it. He ended up stacking up that outside lane, and now here comes that 34. That 2 car's just a sit and duck.
Can't do much about it. To the inside, here comes Brandon Bowie, and at lap number 125, new race leader, Brandon Bowie, to the lead at Homestead, Miami. Ferdinand hangs on to second now, as he'll follow him through. Casto gets there third.
Trago must have had some sort of issue, and that's going to send that mid-pack scrambling, and now here comes George and Lariah, and this is going to get dicey here.
Are they going to go 4 wide off of 2? Bowie wanted a yellow to get to this, but he does not want another 4 wide on the back straightaway. To the very inside is that 3 of Nick Silver. Now it's Thomas George on old tires dropping back. He'll handcuff, I think that was maybe de Blasio. No, it was Cato up on the outside who got handcuffed with nowhere to go. And, oh, this mid-pack is awfully messy on board with the 12.
Yeah, the 2 and the 44, they're doing the right thing. They're just holding their line, just trying to keep as much time as they can. But right now, it's just not working out for them as everyone's just going to the bottom.
As the 44 car slides up, Michael Araya going the wrong way.
Contact, we got a
He's gonna be
crash.
left behind. Was it the 9 of Thomas George? Dylan Coyle's involved, and a yellow at 7 laps to go. I thought I saw the 9. It turned first, and we'll wait to see the second look to see what happened. But the way that car spun so quick, Jonathan tells me he got tagged, and it wasn't him just, getting loose.
Yeah, I think those cars and old tires were sitting ducks in corners, and I think he got a little bit bumped in the rear. I didn't see by who. I think it might have been the 51, so they're 3 wide behind him. And just a touch from Bobby Krug, and there's just nowhere for these guys to go.
It looks like
and
Bobby
Dylan,
Krug tried to
tagged just a little bit
split
right
a gap
there.
I think. I think he tried to go from behind the 9 to on top of whatever that other car was, and he just tried to kind of slice through a gap that wasn't there and tag the 9.
Yeah, I don't know if Bobby knew he was 3 wide, because Winemaster's on the bottom, there's Dylan up top, and there's Stove Price as well. And Dylan's going to lay off, trying to give him some space. He tries to go up, but I didn't think he accounted for the 9 drifting up.
Yeah, no. It's okay, though. Minimal damage, just I don't know how I got out of that one.
And then Mara getting plowed into by Morano for good measure on the bottom.
So maybe, Dylan, it's not Daytona that you need to get away from. I think it's just Florida in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to get oranges down there.
Here's the onboard look with Bradley Burke. You can see all of the chaos up the road, and that's not going to look good.
I think he gets tagged from the rear, too. Right. He has rear damage, too, somewhere. I don't know who he got hit by, but he got hit by someone again.
So now we reset, and as expected, all of those drivers who had, taken the early tires, they're out of this. I mean, Sam Nieto falls to 17th position that quickly. Michael Araya falls down to 19th spot, and everybody else has abandoned it. They've all come in, presumably for damage, because you can't come in and take any mercy tires. You are out of tires by making that call. And, we've seen Michael Araya, Jonathan, last year at Phoenix nearly win a championship on a strategy call like that. I mean, there is no right or wrong answer. There is no way to crystal ball when the yellows will fly, what the right strategy is going to be. So you're always going to have to make those calls, and unfortunately for that group of 5, tonight they made the wrong one.
I feel like we just need to pour one out, though, for Sam Nieto, because he was arguably the most dominant car of the night.
Probably the best time maybe one of his best performances all time, being that dominant.
Yeah, he's had 25 Cup Series starts. He has 2 poles, best finish is 3rd. He led, I don't know how many laps. Like, it's upwards near 100 laps that 2 cars went out front. And it's almost a shame, really, to see him not contending for this win. But he came down, took a strategy call, and he was hoping it went green to the end, and unfortunately it didn't. And I think that 34 was hoping it went green to the end, because now he has that 88 on the outside of him.
Yeah, he did not want this. That was the point I was going to make when they were 4 wide, but they were kind of too busy trying to run each other over to elaborate, right? But Bowie needed this initial yellow to get this opportunity. Once he got to the race lead, he did not need a yellow because he did not need Andrew Ferdinand alongside him. Probably didn't want to see Sean Casto or Daytona winner Jeremy Miller on the road behind him either. But now finds himself in a spot where he's going to have to fight like hell and defend this thing. I don't think this restart will. I think it'll put us just on the edge of needing to go to overtime. But should mention, as always, up to 3 attempts at a green-white checkered overtime finish if necessary.
I think what's scarier almost, we have a frustrated Andrew Freenage, again, who's won here twice of his 4 starts. On your outside, you're a car that's taken a year off, effectively, now in the lead of this race. You have Sean Casto, who's not been a factor at all today until now on those fresh tires. You have Matt Danson, the Winter Series champion. You have Jeremy Miller. And I remember, I don't think Freenage has forgotten what Miller did last week, so this could get dicey.
And the lights are out on top of the base car, so I believe it'll be a 2-lap to go restart in regulation, so it is not technically overtime, so it's a de facto green-white checkered. Let's call it attempt number 1 of 4 to get this SimSeats 200 in and on time. So the front row, Brandon Bowie get to choose the inside. That's what the control car has done all night long. There is no surprise there. Bowie in control, Farinaj second, Casto and Miller on row 2, Danson and Trudell row 3. Then you got Leschinski, Kamer, McBride, and Sheen through the top 10. Does Brandon Bowie get the job done here?
How wide do you think they're going to go down into turn 1? 3, 4, 5?
We've seen 4 and 5, so I'd say at least that.
All right, get seatbelt to tug. It's about to get wild here, ladies and gentlemen.
Four-time race winner Brandon Bowie making a return to the SimSeats RealSimRacing Cup Series for 2021. Wants to win at Homestead. Green flag, 2 laps to go. He gets the jump, but Farinaj is shoved by Miller. Fight for second here could really help Bowie. Looking to the inside is Casto. It won't stick, and here comes the 88 car. Don't look now. Miller also now looking for third.
And again, remember that the 88 and the 27, not too friendly with each other at the moment after last week. And thankfully, we make it through all right. We're coming to 2 to go. No, white flag.
And it's going to be the fight for second. Last week, they were beating and banging at Daytona. Now they chase Bowie in a fight for second. I think Miller's smart not to push the buttons to Farinaj, because remember, the 88 didn't like how that one went down. It'll be a good fight for second. Into the final quarter. Miller goes low. Farinaj goes high. That going to come down to the checkered, but in front, Brandon Bowie going to lock himself into the playoffs. Winner at Homestead. And Miller edges Farinaj for second.
Oh, that was just textbook late race restart from that 34 car. You can see the 52 giving him the congratulations right there. That's exactly what he needed to do. He needed to get that jump. He needed to get out in front, and he needed the guys behind him to fight. And it was perfect.
Brandon Bowie, one of the best all-time qualifiers in series history. Top 10 on that statistical category. 20% sits on pole. But tonight, known for the race win, gets his 5th, I believe it was, in his 69th start all-time in series history, and burns it down on the front straightaway. A little bit of luck being on the right strategy call, but man, did he perform when he needed to the most. And Nieto wasn't one of those other drivers, Jonathan, that dominated all night, but he was in the conversation the whole time, gave him the opportunity to take advantage of that late race yellow and restart.
You said it, though. Like, he showed that he had a car that was a top 5 or potentially winning car all race long. He was fighting it hard. He wasn't outside the top 5 ever, was this 34 machine. I mean, I want to say you called it. Normally I'm calling it when I'm calling these late race calls and late race winners, but no, I think you did good this week.
Every once in a while, something about a blind squirrel finding a nut or something. But Brandon Bowie is your race winner tonight from Homestead. Let's take a look at your SimSeats full race results, and we'll try to talk with the top 3 here in just a few moments. Bowie gets the race win, and for a second week in a row, Jeremy Miller gets the best of Andrew Farinaj. They come home in second and in third. Casto, Trudell through your top 5, along with Matt Danson, Kyle Kamer, Brian Chambliss, Marius Leschinski, and Rhett McBride.
Nick Silver, who was fighting it all around 20th position all night, somehow comes home 11th, ahead of Liam Sheen in 12th, Chris Rabel in 13th, David Washington, we saw him battling in the top 5, falling back to 14th, Eric de Blasio in 15th, Trevor Trigo, good comeback from that penalty in 16th, Ross Cato in 17th, Jaron Wymaster back from his week absence in 18th, Stowe Race Jr. in the 22 in 19th, and Grant Davis for Flat Out Motorsports in 20th.
Second out of the field, only 4 seconds off with the late race restart. That is where Sam Nieto lie after such a good night ahead of Shane Parrish, Michael Kuczynski, Michael Laraya, and Dylan Coyle, the top 25. Then the Mara brothers, 26th and 27th. Dane Cruz is 28th with Dominic Howe 29th, and 30th was Tom Morano.
Yeah, Tom Morano had gotten beat up a little bit a few times tonight. Bobby Krug finishes in 31st, 1 lap down. William Schmidt had a brilliant save and drove all the way from last to 20th place, but it was not meant to be. Got loose, a little bit of damage, comes home 1 lap down. Bradley Burke in 33rd. Anthony Fredericks hard hitting the inside wall late in the race. Thomas George had some damage. Sean Kalist had damage, and then Adam de Blasio, little connection issues early. He logged in late, 37th. Joe Yakes involved in that first caution, 38th. Michael Moser had some damage in 39th, and Gary Weaver, the last of our runners, in 40th. Just kidding, James Ross didn't run today. Did not start for the 14 and 41st.
His own page at the very back. That's a look top to bottom at your SimSeats full race results. Since 2009, SimSeats has been designing and fabricating high-quality, made-in-the-USA driving simulators, including motion systems, complete turnkey iRacing packages, and custom fabrication. Their customer base includes all racers from amateurs to the pro ranks, and everyone on the SimSeats team is a weekend racer too. Their passion for racing drives them to build better sim racing equipment. Join SimSeats for the thrill of racing at any time, on any day, in any car, and at any track. Visit sim-seats.com to learn more. Well, let's go trackside and talk with your race winner tonight for the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. Not his first in RSR history, but the first in some time for Brandon Bowie. Brandon, congratulations on the win, and what a way to come back into this series and get a checkered flag in round 2.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. Yeah, that was. I'm glad to be back. I'll be honest with you. I took a kind of a couple-year hiatus, just trying to, kind of clear my head and kind of see exactly what I wanted to do. Tried a couple different other series and leagues and stuff like that, but I could never find that same kind of feeling how I felt from this league. Racing competitively and stuff like that. So, it was a crazy race, but it was a blast.
And talk us through this one, right? This one was a night that was dominated much by Sam Nieto. But the key for you was staying up there towards the front of the field, right? You guys started inside of the top 10, and you really never fell back. And, admittedly, I don't think there were many points in this race where it looked like that the progression was going to be the 34 in victory lane, but you stayed close enough. You stayed on pace with all those guys. And then you get that late race yellow. The restart, and obviously executing on that was huge for you.
Yeah, Sam was on a whole nother level, it felt like. Just kind of thinking back through the race, Sam pretty much dominated the race. I mean, like you said, Andrew, was definitely holding on a second, and I can tell that, after a while, Andrew could kind of maybe start to catch him a little bit. My goal was honestly just, like you said, just to hang with the guys and just be close to them. But I didn't notice, maybe about 15, 20 laps after that, I could kind of start to actually catch them. I think one of the runs I actually was catching Andrew at one point, and I was like, okay, wow, we might actually have a chance to win. But, to actually pull it off, I didn't expect that at all. Everything just kind of fall in my hands, and I just took advantage of it. Well, nowadays you got to. So.
Well, I know that you were certainly, expecting to run well in this, but to be able to get the win in round number 2, obviously, and again, if you make the minimum starts and all that, you're going to be in the playoffs for this year. I mean, does this change your outlook, or is the objective still going to be to go out there and put a ton of work in every week, because every win here on going to give you that much more of an advantage when we get to the round of 16?
Honestly, the mind frame doesn't change. Just to do the same thing, come in, run top 10s, just collect points. If we can get wins, that's great. For the rest of the guys on my team, keeping it real, it's important for them, to get a win as well. I'm trying to get them locked in as well. So everything I learned from this, I'll pass that information to them, trying to help them and do everything I can to try to get, the whole team in. But for the most part, my main thing is just to continue just to stay, consistent, and try to stay out of trouble. Daytona, I made a big mistake and wrecked myself basically, and took probably a top 10 finish and finished, in the 20s. So as long as I don't do anything, crazy or stupid or anything like that, then I feel like I should be able to possibly collect some more wins, be a real challenge, in the playoffs.
And we look forward to another intermediate track in Las Vegas coming up next week, Brandon. But for here tonight at the Homestead Miami Speedway, sponsors and shout-outs and all those good folks. Who makes it happen for the 34?
Yeah, thanks. I definitely got to give a shout-out to Series, RealSimRacing. Like I said, I came back because I wanted that competition again. It looks like I came back at the right year to do it. Got to thank Plan B Sales, Circle B Diecast for coming on board. Again, if you go on there, buy anything over $20, you get free shipping if you use the KIR 2021 promo code. So, check them out. I got to thank Alan Elwood for painting the car. Got to thank the Keeping It Real group. They know who they are. I'm not going to go through them to make it short. Just got to thank family and the man above for making it happen.
Race winner tonight in the Sim Seats 200. Brandon, we appreciate you racing with us here on Monday nights. Again, congratulations on the win. And if you guys keep that speed in the car, I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, Ev.
Race winner tonight from Homestead Miami Speedway. We will continue things down the line. Jeremy Miller was first last week. He's second tonight. Jonathan, not a bad start to the year for the 27.
Hey, Jeremy, it's Jonathan in the booth. You have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, we got a first place finish 2 weeks ago. You got a second place finish tonight when it was really a quiet race for you, though. For a very quiet second, you kind of hanging around like 5th and 6th. What was it like for you out there?
I had a lot more speed than I expected. This is one of the places that I like driving, but I've considered myself to be pretty bad at, and I just had good pace tonight. And I would probably finish 6th if the race ran out naturally, but we'll definitely take a P2.
And I was balancing the car. We noticed that the tire wear was a bit more than I think a lot of us were expecting, especially at the start of the race, and they became key late in the run. How was it trying to conserve and really manage it while also keeping your position?
Yeah, I got better and better throughout the race at saving tires and going fast at the same time. Earlier in the first run, I really burned them off, and just each run learning more and more. I felt I was really good in 1 and 2. I felt like I was one of the fastest cars through that corner and also one of the best on my tires because I was able to hold the lower than everybody and not get loose at the same time. But I was 3 and 4. I was on ice the entire race, and I was getting beat out of 4 the entire time. That's probably where I was hurting my tires the most. It's a really tough track. I wish we had the dynamic track because it'd be really nice to be able to get up there and run the top more than we were able to and see how that would affect racing here, but it's still a fun place to race nonetheless.
Don't worry about turn 4 because you at least survived. There was a couple cars that did not survive coming out of turn 4. And then a performance like this at a mile and a half, you were running in that top 5 kind of all night, you finishing second. What does this do for you confidence-wise? You're saying this is a track that normally you're not, that strong at. You already have a win this season. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, I don't come into this series expecting to be a title contender. I still don't. I don't have the speed at the road courses. Short tracks, I might be a little competitive, but nowhere near as great. I'm usually pretty good at most of my mile halves. It's just this one I've particularly struggled with. But I think I might be able to make a deeper run than maybe even I think I'm capable of. I came in expecting to run 15th today, and I ran 6th and finished 2nd. So, definitely feel like I'm improving on the sim as a whole, and it feels good to run good at places that aren't Talladega and Daytona.
At least you have running good at before then. At least before now you had the running good at those, because I can't run good at those at all. I end up upside down at least half the time. But a nice solid place, a second place finish for you here, and hopefully, what are you looking forward to Las Vegas?
Vegas is one of my favorite places to drive on the sim. It's one of the few tracks where you can still move around a little, in my opinion. Not as much as I'd like to, but definitely a little bit of option. I don't think I'll finish as well as I did here. It's a really competitive league. It's hard to be consistent and finish this well. It takes a lot. Things can just go a little wrong your way and you don't finish. Sam was the fastest car tonight, in my opinion. He just ended up on the wrong tire strategy and finished back around 20th, I feel like. And just something like that happens, it can just derail a really good race.
All right, and before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, just my friends at HBR, Jared Winemaster, Brian Chambliss. They great help, just figuring out what I'm doing compared to them. And then my family in Florida for watching and supporting me every week.
All right, well, thank you for your time, Jeremy, and we'll see you out next week at Las Vegas.
Thanks.
And that was the second place driver. Now we can move on to the third place driver, Andrew Freenage. Andrew, you were so close to getting that 2-car on so many different occasions, and well, it didn't end up being the 2-car in front of you, but it probably not a nice feeling finishing third, but still a good result.
Yeah, I just quickly want to express my displeasure with the tire limits, just because, you know, Sam was really fast, and it just sucks it came down to a gamble. Who took tires when, and that's kind of how this race came out. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of mile and a half, so I've said that forever, and I'm extremely happy to be up battling for a lead. It just seemed like whoever got out front was gone. When I was out front, I know I was pulling Sam there a lot, and I think Sam probably put a ton more practice than I did, so I should not be pulling him. And when he got out front, of course, he started leaving me. So I think there was a big advantage being out front, and that's why it was so fun those first 2 laps. It was who was going to get to the lead, because there was just such an advantage. And I was trying everything, going high, going low, and you know, I think those first 2 laps are the most important, and if you couldn't get clear, it was kind of you were stuck in line.
Yeah, how hard was it to pass, especially cars that are very, very equal speed to you? We saw the mid-pack was just insane and a buzz, but you were up front most of the night. How hard was it to even like gain 1 spot going from like 3rd to 2nd?
Yeah, if you could catch a guy, which is extremely hard, everybody's so good in this league, we're so even, and the cars aren't too hard to drive, so it just creates really good racing. But once you got up to the guy, you get aero tight and just, I mean, push to the wall. Everything you gain, you lose right there. So trying to run the line that the car in front of you was kind of working. But, you know, even to get under him, to get clear, it's close to near impossible. It's just another reason I don't like these high downforce, low horsepower packages. It's near impossible to pass.
Yeah, you need more power, more loose race car, more more craziness. But, you know, yeah, you mentioned that tire strategy. What was the thinking when you saw that 2-car go in? Were you going to just stay out, or were you debating yourself on whether or not to go in? Because you would have been good on fuel until the end.
My plan was to fake him out. I have to apologize to Sam, because if I was in that situation, I would have done the same thing he did. But, you know, you're going for a win. My hope was to get him to pit. It did. I feel terrible about it, because he probably had the best car out there. And, you know, me and I think Dancer was behind us at the time, just faked him out. So our plan was to stay out till probably lap 20, 15, whenever that second caution came out, and it worked, and we got rid of Sam. And again, I feel terrible about that, but it's just a product of having the tire limits.
I don't think there's a man in this booth or that has been up here yet that has disagreed with you saying Sam Nieto was the best car in track, but, you know, at least he probably does appreciate all the compliments and the humbleness that you have. But who do you have to appreciate for your sponsors, and who helps you get this 88 car towards the front?
Yeah, I want to say a big thank you to the Sim Racer film. Everybody go check it out, Facebook, Twitter. They're making a film about sim racing, which I can't believe that I get to represent it. Really cool project. Everybody go check it out. It's coming out early next year. So a big thank you for them coming on. Want to say thanks to all you guys put the broadcast on, Evan for doing all the work with this league. It's gotten such competition this year. You got so many different, you know, varieties with the, what is it, the you know, you have the trucks and the cup and what you ran last week there at Daytona. I can't think of the word of it, but all the fans for watching, and all the drivers in this league, love racing with you guys, and that's about it.
All right, well, thank you so much, Andrew. We'll see you out next week at Las Vegas. Have a good one.
Thanks so much, guys.
There's our top 3 finishers. Big thanks, as always, you know, for those guys giving us the time post-race to kind of pick their brains. So tonight, Brandon Bowie, Jeremy Miller, and Andrew Freenage, your top 3 finishers. And now we roll on into round 3. But, I mean, a great night of racing at Homestead. Jonathan, I know we were talking pre-race about, you know, kind of the yellows and how that's historically been a thing here at Homestead. I thought tonight had a good mix of, you know, long green flag runs where drivers were able to make moves through traffic. Also, you know, kind of doubled up with the fact that, well, there was some cautions and there was some strategy and consequences to them, and sometimes the cards don't fall your way. Not always does the fastest car win. I know Sam Nieto feels like this one's going to be one that got away, but it is a different challenge, but an opportunity to turn things right back around as we go to Vegas next Monday.
Yeah, we got to do another mile and a half, and it's going to be a little bit different than we remember it, because last time we were at Vegas, we were in an Xfinity car, and we're talking about a championship with 5 or 10 points on the line between the 88 and the 05. Now we're going out early in the season. Everyone's still trying to figure stuff out, and again, we have championship favorites right now that aren't locked in. You know, Jeremy Miller is locked in with a win, Brendan Bowie with a win as well, but we have some contenders that yet to have a win yet, and we still have plenty of time, obviously, but you know, going to be a bit of a concern seeing the competition level this season.
It'll be fun to see as the championship rolls on, but until then, that is it for us here tonight for the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. So for our entire team at RealSimRacing and for our RaceSpot TV crew, Dylan Coyle, our in-race reporter, for Hugo Luis in the production trailer, for Jonathan Burke and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank all of you for tuning in and congratulate Brandon Bowie, 5th time all-win in RSR history. It's been a while since he's been in the series, but he returns to form at the very end of this one. We will catch you next Monday night on March the 8th for the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That race and every race of the 2021 SimSeats Real Sim Racing Cup Series can be found exclusively here on RaceSpot TV. Until next time, good night from Homestead, where Brandon Bowie's a race winner.